Let's talk about Castro, because he said in 1961 of his literacy campaign, and I do want to remain focused on this, when these illiterates have learned to read and write, they will realize what it means culturally, politically, and materially for our nation. He's talking there about education solely for the sake of indoctrination. And that's a context that I think that's why many people are looking at what Bernie Sanders are saying, and they have problems with it. What do you say to that?
There is no candidate on that stage who has been harsher on authoritarians than Bernie Sanders, including Fidel Castro. And you have to ignore the first half of his statement where he criticized the authoritarian nature of that regime. You have to ignore the comments that have been made by other Democrats. You have to ignore a lot, and you have to ignore a better track record of going after authoritarianism around the world that Bernie Sanders has compared to every other candidate on that stage, Brianna.
But he praised the literacy program, right? He said, I think teaching people to read and write is a good thing. The truth is the truth, and that's
Brianna,
what happened during the beginning of the Castro regime.
Do you think teaching people to read and write is a bad thing?
I think if I asked you if the method for doing that was someone who closed Catholic schools to essentially force high school students out of the city and into rural areas, I would posit that question to you. And what do you say?
Fidel Castro was an authoritarian. Bernie Sanders has said he was an authoritarian. Bernie Sanders has opposed authoritarianism his entire career. Bernie Sanders has spoken out more against authoritarianism than any other candidate on this stage. And what we're in is the spaghetti throwing portion of this contest. We think, because the other candidates think they're going to try to throw every piece of spaghetti at the wall. But here's the thing. With our working class campaign that unites across generations, across races, across ethnicities, it's not going to work.
So, but having criticized the authoritarian nature of the regime, how do you uncouple that from the literacy program that was carried out in an authoritarian manner?
Look, things are complicated. You can say something's an authoritarianism and X. But you critique that authoritarianism. Does Bernie Sanders want people to live under dictatorships? No. Is Bernie Sanders willing to call out dictatorships and authoritarians when nobody else in Washington is? Absolutely. In fact, that is his track record. Unlike every single other candidate on that stage, Bernie Sanders has a track record of it. And that's what we're going to say.